Well, if you know Hungarians, they're all like that. They're wonderful. They have a hunger to teach and a hunger to perform. And if they're teaching 100 million%. It's just like Sir George Sholti. It's exactly the same character. I said, just go from one to the other and I'm dealing with the same person. He's the same personality.
She doesn't speak loud and she doesn't make big gestures. Or she's not flamboyant, like singers sometimes tend to be. But she's quiet, but I think very concentrated and extremely centered. Probably resting in herself and then being able to take in whatever happens around her very well.
You see, she has a perfect ear. She can hear what you are doing physically inside you. And then allied to that, she has the imagination to suggest ways which you can change, because unlike an instrument, you can't get inside, no, lift this bit of lung here, push that bit of soft palate down. You can't do that.
I love Vera in a very profound way because she's helped me such a lot. She has invested a lot of time and thought and love in me and in several of her pupils. You could say she really lives for her singing students.
She's a big lady for me. I think she represents, she's a great, great diva, I think, and I respect her space and I admire her.
She has this instinctive understanding that, and love and power, a certain energy and power that anybody who knows her has met. Quite unique. There's nobody like her.
I was living in Budapest and in a very nice flat. It was a good middle class, nice family where we had always a maid. It was not allowed for the children to speak to the maid and ask something because my mother did not allow that. You have to do yourself, that was the thing. My father came from a very, very poor family in a small village, but he was very, very good in school. He wanted to become an actor for some reason, because he had to make money, so he went to the college and got a diploma as a teacher. But he went then to university and got a diploma as a professor. But he was a first-class amateur violinist. When he came back from school, he went to the music stand and started to play the violin, and I was on a high chair. You know what a high chair is? Because I was just 4 years old and was watching how he was playing. And then I learned that when he did like that, what happened, and when he did it like that, what happened. And so like that, I could read the music much earlier than I could read letters. He adored me, really. My mother came from I would say, a very smarter family. And as a young girl, she was, I think, studying a little painting and playing the piano, which she did very badly, but the painting was much better. And she became a teacher, and they met somewhere in a school. My brother wanted to paint, and I wanted to sing, which I did always. And my sister wanted to act, and my father said, this is all good, and told my sister, but you are too modest and too shy, which was true. But what I want to say, they always encouraged us to do what we wanted, independent, whether we can make money with it, or is it practical, or is it a good thing. I really wanted to become a conductor. I saw conducting, and I remember that I was so fascinated. You had to study composition if you wanted to become a conductor. So you had to compose something that they then had to examine, and then to make some kind of, on the piano, play something, whatever. And I was taken, but after 6 months, Zoltán Kodály told me, my dear, okay, we took you, but when we come to the counterpoint, which was already difficult, then you will give it up. And I did give it up, because I had to work a lot, and that I didn't like. So then I decided that it's better, easier to sing. I was not yet finished with the academy, but we had a great accompanist, Dr. Otto Herz, very well known. And my dream was to sing with him, to get the big hall of the Music Academy in Budapest. You had to pay a lot of money if you made a concert. But I did not have the money, I did not have the right, but I had the dream. And then someone on whom this was depending, whether you are paying or you get the concert hall, was, let's say, very fond of me, if I say that. And I went in the office and I said to him, is it a possibility that as I am such a good pupil and I have always #1 and scholarship, this, that, or I don't know, could I get that? And I got it. And then I said, I will go now to the Dr. Otto Herz, and I asked him to accompany me. We had a great sort of, what you call a mecene, who had a lot of money and who invited gifted people from the Music Academy. And I walked in, and everybody who was important in musical life was in this beautiful hall. And as I walked in, behind me, I felt as somebody would look through me or something, and I had to turn, and there was standing Béla Bartók with his incredible eyes, and he said, Miss, I heard you are singing some songs. Would you like to sing for me? He sat down, and he played. And I sang an entirely other way that song, what I used to do. He absolutely hypnotized me. Stood up, he said, thank you, would have talent, and walked out. And then days and days, I was like crazy. I was on the street, walking, and if I just could meet him. Zoltán Kodály. I cannot be objective, because I liked him so very much. He was the professor of my first husband, with whom I went together in the academy. And he was his favorite pupil. And through him, I knew better Kodály, and I was even invited once in their house. I cannot tell you what a great genius he was. We had a tremendous understanding on music, and this is what brought us together. I never met anyone, not because I was so young. Even now I think about this, his character and this talent and everything was unique, unique. He was a terrifically great talent, a marvelous man, and suffered so much. Already he was in the camp, and Kodai wrote a big letter to the authority that they should save him, but they did not. And then when the Germans came in, I had false documents, and I was working on the Swedish embassy as a, someone who could speak languages, German or something. The Swedes gave those documents. Wallenberg did this, where few people could prove that they are very important. Sultan Kodai came in to ask for a Schutzpass, what you call. This was a, to save someone, because his wife was Jewish origin. And I got the Schutzpass for Mrs. Kodai. And I saved a tremendous lot of people, which I don't say now because I want to show off, but I had the situation to do this. And I had such really willpower then, and so young, and I thought I can do it, and I could lie better than anyone else. So anyone who was Jewish and was not killed in Auschwitz or was not going with the camp had to hide somewhere. I was hiding in a forest, but November, December, and that was the reason. Then later I had to stop really my real singing because I got very ill. My mother died when the Russians came in, sort of liberate Hungary from the Germans, and they were with false papers in a little village. It was an outside toilet, and accidentally a Russian soldier opened the door, and it was that he got a heart attack, and that is as she died. After the war, we met on the street when my husband was already killed. Sultan Kodai asked me, "How are you?" And he was so embarrassed because he had tears in his eyes, and I too. But when I wanted to leave Hungary for a lot of special reasons, then he helped me. Then they came the communists. I had a contract to the Hungarian opera. I was very upset because someone who was, let's say, I would not call persona grata, but collaborated with the Germans, got in the opera something we had an unpleasant thing, and I did not want to discuss that, and they wanted me to say about her something, which I said I will not do. Out of question. Went home, and I said I don't remain for a moment in the country. I could only really leave Hungary later for good, because my father then married a great friend of my mother, and we were very happy for him and that we could go, because otherwise I would not leave him.
La danse aux champs se marie, la danse aux champs se marie, la bohème décise et timide, plus vive ensuite et plus rapide, c'est la montée, 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 la 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 la, la 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 la,
My second husband, he came with the British intelligence service he was in to Hungary, and he was crazy about music and came in the opera house. This is where we met. I came to Vienna, then I met him there because he was posted to Vienna. And then I did not see him for a long time because we had a big misunderstanding, let's go. And I didn't want to see him anymore. But then I met him and then we married. I wanted so much a child. And then I went to a doctor and he said, I don't think you will have a child because you have some trouble. And then I was already pregnant. This shows how clever doctors can be. And so I had this David, and that was fantastic.
Pull him behind the van. You can't stop
I
here.
think,
You
no,
can't
I know,
stop
I know, I know, I know, but I have to know whether somebody's behind me, just to see.
So look in the mirror.
No, darling, I will do this. I will change, and then you go out because it will become easier, yes? Wait on, let me do what I want.
Turn left.
No, I don't turn left, because then I have to do the whole
But you
thing.
can't stop on that side of the road.
So much I can stop, darling, that you go get out right side, okay? And I continue. I can very well stop here. Just get out. Thank you, darling. I got some trouble with my breathing, which is until today, I don't know how much you know about this, but when you are taking breath, you see on the diaphragm that it's supposed to go like that, but mine goes like that, because the other one is nothing. But I made a marvelous recovery, though they told me I will never go and I will never do this and never that, but the music just the same saved me. And I sang a few years after that, but then I, not on the stage, I had to stop it. Better if I try to have oratorio and leader where I can always have a rest, because if I go further on, then I have this sort of difficulty with breathing. And I think everything is good in life, because now anyone has trouble with breathing, as a singer, I know what to do.
Ins Grüne, da lockt uns der Frühling, der liebliche Knabe, und führt uns am blumenumwundenen Stabe hinaus, wo die Lerchen und Amseln so wach, in Wäldern und Vögel zum Bach, ins Grüne, ins Grüne.
I was already working with a singing teacher who, I don't know, it just didn't seem to work out as well. And then I thought, well, the person who has the best reputation.
A great deal of Swedish singers went to study with her. In the late 70s, early 80s, that was a real boom.
Oh, everybody knew she's the teacher of Kiri Te Kanawa and Sarah Walker. So, I mean, they represented, and those times, me as a student, they were the greatest names.
I was singing in Frankfurt, and one of my colleagues there, who was a student of Vera, said, "You simply have to go and see Vera." She thought it would be very good for me, and she was very, very thrilled with her. She told me that she had had some vocal trouble. She had been to another teacher who had had a very bad effect on her voice, and then she came to Vera, and she was just quite enamored with Vera, and now she was singing very well. And I was having some problems with my voice, and she said, you have to go to Vera.
A friend said to me, "Oh, you ought to go to see Vera Rozsa." I said, "Who is she?" I said, "Well, she's working with many good singers, and she's very busy. But you try to call her, and if she says no, you must insist that you go."
Get on. Okay, listen. Again, it's a very good note. This is good, it is nothing wrong with it. Only somehow try before you say, we are not so direct.
Yes.
You have to compose quasi the aria. You have to make up the aria now. We have to feel that you think and you say something. Not, it should not be so ready-made that,
yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Now then.
In 1979, I got to know Sarah Walker, and Sarah Walker became a very close artistic colleague, did many, many concerts with me. And Sarah always maintained that she owed absolutely everything to Vera.
All I remember, I can remember the room, and I can remember Vera, and what she looked like, and that I sang to her. But the only thing I can clearly remember is, at the end of the lesson, I said, "Oh yes, please, I would like to come to you regularly," and she wouldn't accept me. She said, first of all, no, you are not allowed at this stage to make a choice. You must come for another lesson, then you may choose.
I came from a world of, laid-back, friendly Swedish singing teachers, and Vera is a much tougher lady. She's also a good-hearted woman, but she's an enormous energy, which to me was quite sort of frightening, and also because coming from the Swedish, I had been sort of fortunate enough. I was top of my class, more or less, here in Sweden. You could say I was having success already, and then I came to her, and of course she immediately put me back in the place where I belonged.
She said, "Oh, my dear, when you sing, sometimes it sounds wonderful, and sometimes it sounds like you don't have a clue what you are doing with your voice." So, which means that, I did not have a standard of singing, of course.
It is a melancholy, and it has another color, yeah? Okay, try. That is only the imagination which counts here, because you have the voice, yeah?
But here in the aria here,
yes?
It's I upptäcker. I discover that, it's so different here from before.
But therefore, you have to see that. Before it was so beautiful.
Yes.
But now it is not.
Yes.
But this is, yes. I see always the truth, but only depending to whom, how much. To someone who is really a great talent, I will say all what I mean. To someone who is not so good, I will put in the medicine in very small thing, but just the same. I can say that all my sort of career I gave, let's say 32 twice master classes in a lot of different countries, nobody yet cried. Lovely, just to even the mindset could be very good, but you do, oh ma, you have to say, oh ma.
Yes, okay.
Because the oh is where you think about the Mayan side.
Yeah.
So when you see, and don't pull, I think that you pull in too quick.
Okay.
You do, oh ma, do this, oh ma. And try that. Maybe yes, maybe no, but we have to try.
It took me many, many years to understand her and what she wanted. And I really feel, though, it took maybe a good 10 years to interpret what she was trying to get me to do. Because, you stick in your old ways for so long that you always fall back in any sort of danger or fear. You always fall back on your old habits.
And she had a wonderful exercise, which I remember, which goes, "Hello, how are you? Hello, how are you?" Which actually is simply a little phrase, which it could be any phrase, but she was trying to describe the kind of support and preparation needed to sing the higher octave. And so she's used a phrase which describes exactly the feeling. Hello, how are you? Exactly that feeling. And with each of the hows, she would push me on the shoulder. and I used to be pushed through the curtain by the time I'd been... And we still laugh about that.
I was trying to figure out the best place to place the voice, because I've been trying to get it very much forward, and then I noticed, well, if I put it into the top of the head and sort of more back, I get a bigger tone, and I was a little bit confused where the tone should be placed. And so I asked her, I said, well, now, should it be forward, should it be up, should it be back, where should it be? And she said, don't put it anywhere, she said.
She has an enormous range of different exercises that she would put you through to try and hold the voice to you and not to stand and shout. It's easy as a singer to try and sing loudly and, go for the, like this, which is not good for you at all. So she's very much that spinning feeling. She wants a spinning feeling.
And I had been with a teacher who was really quite disastrous for me. He somehow managed to get me away from my natural support in the body. And that was very bad for the voice. And so Vera was then extremely helpful, because she said, now, the support, the breath, that is the thing. You have to get really back on that. And she showed me how really, something that I had never really been that conscious of.
Yeah, yes, definitely. This is definitely already a little mixture of jazz.
I had a very bad cold, and I began to feel very insecure halfway through the first half. I didn't know, I felt the voice was going, and I didn't know what to do. I knew she was out there. So at the interval, I rang the front of house, and I said to the manager, please, could you find Vera, because I'm sure you can, and ask her if she could come backstage. She would never come before or during unless invited. So I asked her to come, and I said, Vera, what can I do? Darling, you're so stupid. What is wrong? No, there's nothing wrong with the voice. And I said, well, I feel I should have an announcement. No, don't be silly. They will wonder what you are talking about. You are stupid. Sing to me. No. So I sang a note. She said, you see, darling, you are to imagine that you are sending your voice on a long journey, but you are not to go with it. And I know exactly what she means. Instead of going, sleep, and pushing all this air out and feeling inadequate, I should sleep and send the voice, but I should stay.
She hears your voice and she knows what is the problem. And within minutes, she gives you maybe one exercise or, a vocal exercise, or she says something, and immediately it works.
When I then later came to study with her while I was at the Guildhall School of Music and Drama in London, within weeks she had already corrected a lot of things and given me a top, and so that I was less frightened of my top, and which repertoire I would be singing, the Mozart and the Strauss, na. She's extremely efficient.
I would go to her in a very bad state vocally. I'd go in a very fatigued state, where my voice would not be doing anything that it was supposed to do through the week. And she'd say, oh gosh, what are we going to do with all of this? Because, she was at a loss and I was at a loss because I was doing the wrong things. Until finally I kept on saying, look, I want you to hear me when I'm really bad, get me out of my problems, and then I'm able to do it on my own when I'm away from you. So this continued for many, many months, until finally I grasped what I was doing wrong.
Sometimes you do something where the color of the voice changes from a beautiful voice, a good voice. But then it is I don't know what. I will stop you when I find that. Something is disturbing.
Okay.
So I don't know yet.
She would say, make quite sure that everything is free here. Move your head a little bit and check that the throat is free and that you have no tensions. And then she would speak about the breathing and the support. And then she, of course, she's an excellent musician. So she used to, when we did all kinds of songs, I remember we did the Mussorgsky songs and Dances of Death, and she would accompany that and make excellent musical suggestions.
She thought I was a bit boring, so she wanted me to crack up a little bit and show much more of my inner self. And in doing that, she, you know, I was there crying a couple of times, but looking back, I think it was good for me, because I think I needed to be shaken around a little bit.
Here we are. Something you push somewhere.
Yeah, okay.
She has this characteristic of never being able to tell an untruth to a student, and very interestingly doesn't regard the voice or the technique as something separate from art. It is all together.
I think the singer is only the instrument who has to perform the music, yes? And that is my idea and will always remain my idea.
Well, she loves Lieder, Schubert, and, you know, with the whole, she has an enormous love for music. She has an enormous appetite and love for music, and anything new you'll sing to her, she says, oh, this is divine, darling, this is divine, and which is wonderful.
I dare to say this, that there is no sad Schubert song where is not a smile, and not a happy Schubert song where is not a tear. This melancholy, this mixed something, I mean, it appeals to me more than anything.
I think she feels that she has a direct line through the spirit world to Schubert. She may well. And she has a great, almost a religious respect for him. And only if you've not sung a group of Schubert well, or you've done something she didn't like and it was Schubert, only then will she tell you after the concert, she say, yes, very good time, but no, you are not to call me tomorrow, this is not good, you should not sing it like. But that's the only time.
I have one very interesting memory of a concert that I gave with a singer who shall be nameless. I won't tell you who it is, but a very famous English singer who sang some Schubert in a concert that I gave, and at that point she was Vera's pupil.
I was so upset because Schubert is my favorite composer as for Lieder, that I told her after the Graham Johnson was playing then.
She did not sing very well. She was actually a singer who sang, in this instance, very artificially and very exaggeratedly and really in a sort of a way dishonestly.
I told her that your Strauss was marvelous, maybe the Schubert not so good.
And Vera came back and was very angry with her. And very angry with me. She said, did you tell her to sing in this dreadful way?
Which I should not say after a concert. I never, but I was so upset about it that accidentally I said, and that was it. She didn't want to see me evermore, which shows us that she is not very clever, yes. My father was in a charity organization, president, this and that, and our house was always full with his people who came for a hat, for a dress, for a pair of shoes or something. And my mother, when she had to go to school, was having no more dress to put on. And one day I went in and I said, my mother, listen, Mama, or Anyuka, what you call it, this lady came and she's lying to Daddy, she's lying. I knew that. And so she said, my dear, would you go out and listen a little bit to conversation? I knew, and even today, For that I have good eyes.
I had some, I can't remember exactly what it was, and it was troubling me, and I went there and I stood just in front of her at the piano, and then she looked at me and she said, "Are you all right?" And I suddenly burst out crying because there was something that bothers me, and she sees it, you know.
She is very smart, very quick. So she can really put you on the right track very quickly. And she also, I think, encourages to sing, you to sing with your natural voice as much as possible. And with your own personality. I mean, that's what she aims for. But she certainly has a very quick mind and a great musicality. So the combination of different things has made her a very efficient teacher.
You know, there are that kind of teachers also who have a method, and they just throw the method at you. But with her, I think she's through this modesty and this quietness, she's capable. This is how I understand it, that she's then able to be very, very much aware of her students.
What I liked specifically about Vera was the fact that she didn't act in a possessive way at all when I went there for 1 week. She didn't start, for example, you can imagine, you go to another teacher from somebody else, and the teacher starts complaining, "Oh, everything's bad. Oh, you must have an awful teacher. Oh, everything's wrong. You have to change the teacher." Vera never said, and has never said, a bad word about another teacher.
Okay, give it, we will see. Close your mouth. Yes? Yeah?
Singer has no instrument, only her own body. So you cannot project on a piano, on a violin, and so on and so forth. But your body comes always. And so you have to know everything, what your body is capable to do in order to do well what is, let's say, projecting the voice. I made even a list. You have to have good sensitive ears, at least as important as the voice. Good health, imagination, insight, magnetism, willpower, good nerves to be able to face possible failures and defeats, musicianship, power of communication, knowledge of an instrument apart from your voice, languages, at least 2 languages you have to speak, or to read well or to pronounce well. No stage fright, of a great control of it. An artistic temperament, yes, concentration, dramatic ability, personality, good taste, a total devotion to your profession, yes, and to be extrovert on the stage too, however you are in your real life. And I said this that exists a proverb that to be any artist it needs to have a heart of fire and a brain of ice. professionally, teaching singing, I dare to say, is much more difficult than to teach any other instrument.
Il core mi dona bell'idolo mio, ma il vostro anch'io vi datelo a me. Me datelo prendo, ma il mio non mi rendo.
Even now, after nearly 30 years, if I undertake a new role that has specific challenges, I'll be there every week, and I might be even there twice a week for maybe 5-6 weeks, depending on how long I feel, that we both feel that is necessary.
I still go for serious singing lessons. Yeah, I mean, it's not just now to just, you know, sit and chat and have a cup of coffee. It's work.
If I change repertoire after having done a big, taxing new part, I want to go and have a checkup, that I sound the way I should, that I haven't lost my colour, because Vera's school is specifically, she says the colour, you know, there are a lot of voices, but yours, the colour makes the voice.
Because you've got to have that spare pair of ears, that clean pair of ears that has known you for a very, very long time, and she can hear. The moment I open my mouth, she can hear I've got a problem, or something needs to be retuned.
In this profession, you always need somebody. You always need an extra pair of ears. Somebody who is not an agent, or somebody who doesn't require a financial benefit of you.
She needs time before it.
What about the other friend that says God mine?
So she one day called me and said, "Look, your breathing and support is very good. Why can you help one of the students who came to me now, because I do not have so much time, and you could maybe take her 1 hour and try to explain to her and help her a little bit." And that's how she started me off teaching.
She had confidence in me, and I had total confidence in her. I'd go off and coach with other people, and someone would say, "Oh, you must go off to somebody and learn from these other people." And I'd say, Vera teaches me everything I know. I don't need to go off anywhere else. I can go and listen, and I can go and learn from other people and go to other performances, but in the end, I would always come back to Vera.
Hang on, just 1 second. You hold it. Go back, you hold it.
1, 2, 3, 4. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Vera. Happy birthday to you. Cheers, cheers, cheers.
Okay. Yes.